So there are two main ways of connecting your domain name, which is on GoDaddy, to your SiteGround hosting account. I'll show you both here. First thing, in GoDaddy, you're gonna click domain, then you're gonna find a domain, and you're gonna go and click manage, and you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna click on manage DNS. And this is where you have two choices. The first thing you have to set is the name servers. So in this case, by default, it's on GoDaddy's name servers. So you see here domaincontrol.com. So that means that that name server is hosted by GoDaddy. It's their own name servers. And what that means is that you can set those A records, for example, or CNAME or MX record straight into GoDaddy. You don't have to do it somewhere else. You can do it right there. So I'm on SiteGround now. Go to website. So that's the new interface. So you might have the old cPanel interface, but if you're using the new one, you basically go to find your domain and then just click manage and then click site tools. And this is where, if you're using the first way, if you're using the GoDaddy name server, you have this IP address here. You copy this. So we'll just copy this, go back to the domain manager, and then you see the A record, and all I have to do is click there, and then where it's, so leave it at here, and then the points to, you just paste the IP address. Make sure there is no spaces or hidden characters, or you didn't mistype anything like this. Make sure it's clean. Because some people sometimes they put spaces, or they by mistake have different numbers or something like that, or they forget, that's very important. If you select it and you miss one number, and then of course it won't work. So make sure you select the whole thing, you paste it properly, and then here you can just leave everything by default and just click save, and then it's updated, and that should it can take something like 5 minutes. It could take up to 2 days. I've seen some cases, but nowadays it should be quite quick. There are a few things. If you don't see the change, you can reboot your computer. You can clean your cache of Chrome or your browser as well. And there is a tool called whatsmydns.net. So just Google what is my DNS. It's the first one, and then just type your domain and then click search, and then you will see here, so it's already been updated, so within a few seconds it is, and you can see for every, for 20 cities in the world. So that's what we call propagation, and that means that the information is being sent throughout the world on some master name servers. That gets very technical, but basically it takes time. At least back in the day, it could take up to 48 hours. In most cases now, it should be pretty quick, but if it takes an hour or a day, it's not necessarily abnormal either. It's always a challenge if you're not a technical person. You might not know if it's normal or not. So sometimes, asking for someone that knows about DNS and name servers can be helpful. You can always talk to Siteground technical support or GoDaddy technical support if you have any issues. And here you can choose NS for name server, and you can actually see the name server is the domain control, and then you can see the A record, which is set on the name server, which is the right IP. Now the other way is to use the name servers of Siteground. So basically point the domain to the name servers of Siteground, and those are the two name servers. So pick this part here. Do not pick the whole thing, just pick this. Just make sure you copy this properly, and there are two, so you'll have to do both. And then you're gonna come here, and then you're gonna say, okay, the name servers, I don't want a default, which is on Siteground. I want to use my own, and then you just click there and then paste both. Make sure, so something, Okay, so make sure you paste properly here. And then there is the second one. So make sure you pick this. Again, make sure there's no spaces, or if you miss one character, that's I've seen that problem. And then people are wondering what's the problem. So pick both, make sure it's all clean before, after, no spaces, no missing characters, and then just click save. So that should take 5-6 seconds, and then you will see here. So you'll see a message here. Yeah, what you have to do is wait a bit. So I'll just wait 5 seconds. Could be longer, but just refresh the page, and you will see it confirmed. So now you see the name servers. That basically what that means is that when someone accesses your domain name, the person, so if I'm I open the browser, I type my domain name in the browser, the internet will know, or the browser will be told, okay, the information about the A record, which is your website, is hosted at that address. And basically what's going to happen is your browser will ask, it's more complicated than that, but if I want to simplify it, your browser will ask what's the IP address of the server, and it knows where to find it. It's on GoDaddy name server. So to make sure it works, just come here, and then you can just make sure it's updated. So you can come here. So it's still showing the name server, so it didn't change yet. It's still showing the domain control. So let me make sure I've done it properly here. Let's just refresh. So now we don't see the records at the top, which is normal. That's what we want. So that's why I refresh a few times, wait a minute, and then we see the name server is the only thing here. And let's try again here. So this is where it can take sometimes a bit of time, especially now I've just tested the switch. So what I'm gonna do while I wait is go back to Siteground. So now what we can do, so what you can do is go to domain and go to the DNS zone editor. And really you shouldn't have to do anything there. It should be all pre-configured. So let's see. So we have a record that is pointed to our own IP, which is the Siteground IP for this hosting account. We have the www, we have the one without the W, and we have basically everything pre-configured for us. Our mailed, our MX record for the mail server is configured for the mail server of Siteground. So typically you don't have to come here and do anything. Everything will be already there. If there is an issue there, then you can definitely manually do different things, but typically you don't even need to come here. Unless you want to, for example, if you want to change the MX record, so let's say your email addresses are hosted on G Suite from Google, then you can come and make, changes to the MX record. So that's for the email. For the website, typically, and if you want to use the email from SiteGround, then you have absolutely nothing to do. But this is where you could come here, add records in the future if you need to. So I just went back, so I did a search again. So you see that one of them now has switched to the NS1 at SiteGround. So it's a question of just waiting, and it can take, typically in less than half an hour, it will be done. But there's no guarantee, so so don't be alarmed. Just wait for the process to complete. And you can always confirm the A record as well, and it's being done now. So wait for the process. If you have any questions, you can always go to this little question mark, click the View Help Center, and there's a contact us to talk to the technical support, and they should be able to help you. Because if you're a non-technical person, sometimes it can be difficult, or you'll have some unique cases. So typically support from Siteground or GoDaddy can help. Make sure you test your website, make sure it loads, make sure you test your emails as well to make sure that whatever change you've made, doesn't prevent your emails to being sent or received. So always test after you do the switch. Again, it might take a little while, so if it doesn't happen immediately, just wait. And with this tool, you should be able to eventually see the change, and clean your browsers on your computer. If you're in Windows, and if you want to clear what we call the local DNS cache, just go in the lower left, click that little thing there, type CMD, and then click there. This is a system window, and you can type ipconfig /flush DNS, and then it's going to flush your local IP. Typically that works. You can always try to do it a few times. Sometimes there will be cases where it doesn't work and a reboot or just waiting. That's what will be needed. And you can always do ping space your domain, and then you'll see the IP address here from the command prompt. So that's one way to test if you're pointed to the right IP.